name is Andreas Duscha. I come from Germany originally, but moved to Vienna like 14 years ago. Studied there at the Academy of Fine Arts. I never thought about becoming an artist like for a long time. So first I was very interested in literature. So a lot of like influences in my work come from literature, from the word. So first I studied politics and psychology. Then I found out that's maybe not the right thing for me, and then I got more involved into photography. So I came up with like the idea of going to art school, because that seemed to be the only place where people like I can do something. So I studied at the Academy of Fine Arts in a class called Post-Conceptual Practices, which I have no clue what it's all about, but that was the name of the thing. And I studied psychology as well. So I have kind of like a scientific background as well. So I have as well some kind of scientific influences in my work, but they are more made up than real. I'm not a classical photographer. I use photography as a language or as a word in my work, but I use as well drawings, installations, found objects, everything. But photography is kind of near to me because it's maybe the only technique I'm kind of good in. And on the other hand, so much about our daily existence is confronted with photography, with like images. So it's maybe the nearest choice on one hand. And what I really like is because it's like a media, you can really reflect in the work about the media itself. So this is kind of what I'm interested in as well. Like what is like the subtext of photography, of that kind of photography, because every kind of photography speaks a different language. Like if you do like a studio high classy shot, it's totally different to a pinhole exposure for like 8 hours. So it's totally different. Like the media in itself has a huge variety of possibilities. I'm at the moment working on a thing which normally doesn't have to do anything with Košice. It's like the project is about buildings, and most of the buildings are in the United States or in England. So I came here to make that work. And for that work I needed mirrors. But it turned out that there are no old used mirrors in East Slovakia. So I tried to find them. I went to flea markets, I went to all like the shops who sell like old stuff, but they don't sell old mirrors because there are no old mirrors. I don't know why. So I had to find another solution. Then the solution came up, okay, I'm going to do the mirrors by myself. So I started doing mirrors, which I've never done before. And even that process was just like not so easy, like saying, okay, I'm going to do mirrors. So I had to organize the chemicals, which is as well kind of complicated, because a huge problem here for me is like the language barrier, because most of the people like in shops or in special shops, they don't speak English, so I can't communicate with them because I'm such a dumbass, I don't speak Slovakian. So it's hard for me to get things done, so it takes a while. And for example, like because it's kind of like the measurement has to be very precise. So I was looking for a digital scale. Didn't find one, there's no place to buy one. So I went to like a pharmacy, they tried to help me, but their scale was not fine enough. So I ended up using the scale of a guy who's using it normally for his business, which is kind of interesting because there's a huge influence on the work, of course. So I would say it's more like I came here with ideas and then Košice gave the ideas a spin. Because normally I would just like, when to a flea market, get old mirrors, get like printed on them, that's done. But now it's really like it's a process. It's taking me now like a month to get the thing done. There are 5 buildings in the world, and these buildings are constructed kind of wrong, so they reflect the light too much. So the sun hits the facade, and then the facade is reflecting, and things get burned. So there's especially one in London, which is really famous because it burned a car. And there's one, for example, in Las Vegas, which melted the whole like furniture in the pool area. So they reflect the light too much, and I find that really interesting. Like the idea of when architecture attacks, when architecture strikes back, and there's just like and so I got pictures of like these 5 buildings, and now I'm going to screen print them on the mirrors I made myself, and it's a lot like behind there's a lot of like dealing as well with the problem of the facade, which is like different meanings, like architecture-wise, of course, like society-wise. So this is that's what I'm mainly working about, because as I said before, it was kind of complicated to get all the things together. Yeah, and then there's some like other projects which are kind of involved in that theme. It's always about like one thing, but yeah, that's what I'm mainly doing, or just trying to figure out, like maybe finding places here, so now Košice becomes involved, which so I found, for example, like a staircase, and that staircase I know like young people meet and have fun or whatever they do there, and there was like on that staircase on every second like step there was a huge amount of matches, burnt matches. So I took a lot of pictures of this, and it's kind of like Nero's staircase, because it looked like they were going to flame up the city. So that's like when, of course, like the surrounding comes into the work as well.